Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Kirschenbaum. I'm an attorney in New York State, and I'm presenting information on the CARES Act payroll stimulus. This is the abridged version. We're going to have a longer version of a webinar available that's going to go through all the specifics. But I want to just post this as soon as possible to kind of reply to what I see as a bit of hysteria from a lot of our business owners just because of the terrible cash crunch that they may be in right now and the aggravation that they've had having to lay off a lot of staff. So let's just talk about some of the money that's going to be available, because I think that that's really what we all want to know about, and how it's possibly going to be forgiven and not an obligation that we have to pay back during this time period when we've had a disruption in revenue. This is, again, a brief summary. It's not an exhaustive explanation of requirements for forgiveness. The loan you get may not qualify as forgivable depending on how you use the funds and some other elements that we don't know yet, TBD. But we're going to go through what we do know now briefly, and then extended in the specifics webinar that we'll do later. The law is very complicated, still a bit incomplete. We're waiting to see how our institutional lenders are going to roll this product out. And we're also waiting on additional regulations from government agencies. So just be careful on your way in, and you'll be good on the way out. So again, my name is Jennifer Kirschenbaum, and I'm a partner at Kirschenbaum & Kirschenbaum. My main practice is representing healthcare and home improvement security clients in their compliance and transactional elements of their businesses, and also in general operational representation. I have on our team that's been designated to take lead on this initiative, Stacey Spector, who is also a partner of the firm. And Stacey is focusing her practice mainly on real estate and bankruptcy. And she spent countless hours this week just sifting through all of the material that was available on the House bill, the Senate bill, and now what is the law. And same for Scott Dillon, who specializes in bankruptcy and has years of experience and does debt restructure and is very familiar with lending, and Stephen Scheinwald, who has been with the firm for a long time, is a senior partner and is bringing all of his savvy and years of representation to his assessment of the legislation that's been passed to date. And we are all happy to do what we can during this time and advise and help as we go through this process. So let's just talk about the firm briefly so you understand who we are. We have about 15 attorneys. We were founded in 1977 by my father, Ken, who's right there. He's a nationally recognized industry expert in home integration security industry. He's also a Chapter 7 bankruptcy trustee, and these are the areas that we specialize in. So basically pretty much everything for small businesses and individuals. What you need to know: the CARES Act is aiming to put money in your hands as a business owner, and it's also giving money to individuals, which is great. That's exactly what we need right now, an infusion. So what's available right now through the loan process is a $10,000 grant is available as an overhead replacement. No questions asked is being given. It will not be forgiven secondarily if you take out more money. Under the CARES Act, what we're all looking at is this forgivable loan, which is going to be an amount equal to our monthly payroll, which is salary, wages, commission, cash tips, PTO, benefits payments, FICA, 1099 payments capped at $100,000 annualized, multiplied by 2.5. So on the back of a napkin, you can kind of figure out exactly how much money is going to be available to you. And that is going to be capped at $10 million. Now, some of you may be saying that sounds like a lot of money, $10 million, but small businesses that are eligible for this are 500 employees and below, and that's PT, FT workers. So there are going to be fairly sizable companies that are going to be applying for some of this $350 billion that are available to be appropriated to small businesses. Now, the period of time that's potentially going to be forgivable is an 8-week period from the issuance of the loan. So while we're all sitting at home clicking submit, submit, submit on the SBA website, when the application has not been updated yet for this loan, and we're aggravating ourselves, you may not even want this money yet, because if you get it first as one of the first recipients in the next week or so, which is when we think the money will potentially be available, you're only going to have that forgivable window from 8 weeks from issuance as the law is drafted. So you might want to just give it a minute and wait for your banking institution that's going to be available to help you with this, hopefully, to kind of get their legs under them and figure out what this program is going to look like. And we're probably not going to have that information for many of us until Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Thursday this coming week. I should note that the date that I'm giving this is March 29th, 2020. It's Sunday. The law was passed on Friday, and we need to be mindful of the dates because things are really changing every, I would almost say 24 hours, every 5 hours they're changing. So let's be mindful when we do take the money and what period of time is going to be forgiven. The loan will be at an interest rate of 4% or less. That's by law. There will be no prepayment penalty, and there will be 6 months deferral on payments. Why is all this information important? Well, it's very important because you're going to apply for the loan, and you're going to assume you can use it for specific purposes, and then it's potentially going to be forgiven. You're not going to know if you're actually going to have it forgiven until after you already received the money. So if you find out a couple of weeks after you've already received the funds and spent them, or some of them, that you're not going to qualify for forgiveness, or maybe not all of it's going to be forgiven, at least you have that time period to pay back, and there will be a deferral on any payments that would have been due, and there's no prepay penalty. So that's important. Now, there's no reason why most of us would not qualify for forgiveness as the loan is drafted. We just have to make sure we're using it for specific purposes. Before I go to the specific purposes, I just want to say that if you decide you don't want to risk it, and you don't want to keep the documentation for some reason, or perhaps when you learn a little bit more about the forgivable nature of the loan and the qualifications there and the documentation you're going to have to give to the lender to look at that, because that's going to be the harder part on the back end, you may decide that it's just easier for you to stay closed. And if you were to do that and to keep people on unemployment benefit, the good news there is that there is going to be a stipend from the federal government that's going to supplement the state benefit. So it was for $600 a week. Now, the states are going to administer that money and the program, so they will also be setting maximums for those of us who might be concerned that our workers are going to be incentivized to just sit home and not come back to work. There's also going to be a cap of a 4-month period that this additional $600 is available for employees. How do I get this money? Your banking institution will very likely be rolling out a program. And if not, then most major lenders will have a product sometime this week where they will explain how they can administer this loan for you. There will be no additional fees to you, the borrower, for taking this money to the banking institution. It's just going to be the interest. So there'll be no fees. The bank fees are going to be paid by the federal government. There's additional monies being appropriated to compensate the banking institution. They're going to be paid a percentage of the total loan amount that you get. You could apply through SBA, or you can apply through your bank. I understand the SBA website has been down. If you apply through them, I'm not sure how easily you'll be able to get a human being on the phone as it's processing. My recommendation to our clients is go through your financial institution and let's wait to see what this is going to look like. And also be very, very careful how we spend the money as it comes in. Funds should be flowing within the next week or so. How can you spend the money once you get it? You can spend it to replace payroll costs, costs related to continuation of group health insurance, paid sick, medical, or family leave, and insurance premiums. Now, you won't be able to get a double dip here. If you're going to qualify for the tax credit under the Families First law, you're not going to also get forgiveness. So there's going to be a little ways to foot fault on this that's going to impact your ability to get the money back here. And so you really need to be careful on how you're documenting, and you want to understand where you're going to qualify for what. And that's where I think the lawyers are unfortunately going to have to come in and assist, so that way people can properly obtain loans and understand exactly what their obligations are going to be on the back end. You're going to be able to use the money to pay interest on any mortgage obligation, rent, utilities, and interest, and any other debt obligations that were incurred before the covered period. You need to know that you have to follow the rules. I've said it before. I'll say it again. We have to follow the rules to ensure that we're going to actually be able to have the amount that we receive forgiven. If you already fired everybody now and they're because of COVID and after February 15th, that is okay. You will still qualify for this loan your payroll cost times 2.5 times. The payroll number that they will look at, the lender, will be your 2019 numbers. So what I'm saying to you as I go through this is that you are going to have to, of course, give your lender a lot of information and access, which is pretty standard for any loan, to confirm how much you are entitled to, and again, how much you will be entitled to for forgiveness. So there's going to be 2 different steps here, and possibly a third, because we also anticipate that once you are given the money, how you use the money has to be tracked. Your forgiveness application has to be put in and then granted. And then there's a potential for eventual audit. There will be a massive fraud and abuse effort to curtail by the government for this program in the coming years. So we need to be very careful how we document as we go through this process. You're going to have to wait on a forgiveness decision, which we touched on. How should your attorney or how would our firm come in and assist you during this process? Consultation on what the best options are for you and your business and how you can approach lending in general is essential. Many people are looking for advice. They can't process this law themselves. This is not what they went to school for, not what they spend their time on, and completely understand. I don't know how to do many of your jobs, and this is what we're here for, is to help you understand what your options are and what the best decision may be for you. Lawyers are paper pushers, as we all know, so we are here to help with the application process as needed. From my perspective, I view that as on the way in, really understanding what the documentation is going to be and how you're going to comply in order to qualify for the forgivable nature of this loan. Monitoring the use of loan proceeds to the extent that you need assistance with earmarking and tagging and understanding how that's going to be processed. That's what attorneys are here to help with, and we can help with that. Quarterbacking with your lender and your accountant or your bookkeeper to make sure that you are lined up for forgiveness properly is also what we are here to assist with. If you do want us to help, the best way for you to get in contact with us is going to be through Amy, our office manager, who is helping with all of the onboarding and a program administrator for us. So Amy's available at Laviglia, and that's her phone number. We are offering different levels of representation. We know some clients are looking just for a basic consult call, and others are going to be looking for us to handle the process here. So you can give Amy a call, and she will explain to you where we need to start for you. If you do want to reach out to the attorneys directly, our contact information is available on the slide. My name is Jennifer, and my information is right there, my email and also my phone number. And Stacy, Scott, and Steve are also available to assist during this time period. I want to thank you for participating. I hope this answered some of your questions. I hope it alleviated some of your concerns. And above all else, I hope that you stay well during this pandemic. Thank you for joining me.